The tragedy here in Pittsburgh is a reminder of the strong bonds that a neighborhood together, especially in the worst of times. Many talk of the resilience of this place and what it means to be part of the community. One of them is the journalist Howard Fineman, an NBC News contributor who grew up right here.
I grew up there. I keep in touch with people there. I go back frequently. It is, after all, my home. It's the most peaceful, pleasant, and nonviolent place you can imagine, in a city that respects its ethnic neighborhoods one after another. Squirrel Hill is a uniquely, in my view, American Jewish place that stands for the proposition that we are a free country in which people can worship freely and live safely, that somehow America is a fresh start for everybody who comes here, including the Jews. That sounds like a lot of history to pile on a neighborhood in the city of Pittsburgh, but it's one that I think Jews across the country will understand. It's not New York. It's not Los Angeles. It's the middle of the country in a quiet, peaceful, tree-lined place where violence happened of a kind that we could not imagine. And I must say, I draw strength from my identity and from that community. And I think everybody there does as well. And so we should be hopeful. But it was inconceivable to me that something like this could have happened in as peaceful and lovely a place as my home neighborhood.